Start with a flea flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Galladay.
Sup, everyone? It's Timmy B, and welcome to the Flea Flicker with Joey D and Timmy B. Joey D, first of all, Merry Christmas, and how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Tim. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you all and to all of our listeners. Been a wild 2020, and we're on the home stretch. So it's nice to be able to relax and be back home with family and loved ones now.
Absolutely. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, hope you had a great holiday season. You're having a good week so far. But Joe, we got a full slate of games, and starting off on Christmas night. Now, this video is going to come out Saturday morning, so this will be up beforehand. We are recording on Christmas Eve. But we got the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a 7-point favorite. The over-under is at 51. And the last couple of years, the Vikings have beaten the Saints in the playoffs with the Minneapolis Miracle. And then last year, Kirk Cousins finally winning a playoff game, going on the road to New Orleans. Now, Joe, can they do it again, or are the Saints going to win this game?
I think the Saints are going to win, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game. There's no Michael Thomas in this game, so it's going to be Emmanuel Sanders and a lot of the young guys, and then Alvin Kamara. I expect him to get a lot of work this game, is again without Michael Thomas and Drew Brees. This Vikings team is very inconsistent. If they kind of put everything together, there could be some stretches in this game where I think it's going to be close. If they can get Dalvin Cook going, and then the play action to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, they can definitely find success in that area. But the Saints defense is still pretty good. They're coming off 2 losses against Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, so I don't think they're going to let Kirk Cousins do too much to them. I think the Saints will be able to win this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going with the Saints as well, and I think the big question is not offensively with Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara without Michael Thomas. I think it's the defense, because we've seen this Vikings offense be very good. I mean, you named Dalvin Cook, you named Justin Jefferson, and with Kirk Cousins and the play action, this is a nice little test for this Saints defense going into the final week of the season, when they're probably going to be resting some people, because it looks like that they will be a wild card team. So this will be a good test right before the playoffs. So I'm going with the Saints as well, plus primetime Kirk Cousins. I mean, you got to go against him with that one. And now we got a couple of Saturday games. Yes, exactly. Primetime Kirk Cousins. Now we got a couple of Saturday games, Joe. The first one we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. Once again, we get to see the Lions, on midday, not kind of during a holiday, Christmas weekend. Buccaneers are a 10-point favorite. The over-under is at 54. I mean, the Buccaneers have to win this game, but I mean, a 10-point favorite seems like a lot. Like the way that this Buccaneers team has been playing recently, that they're winning some games, but it's not pretty. I still think that they're going to win, Joe, but how about yourself?
Yeah, I think they're going to win. I think they could take that cover, with the 10 point or with the spread there at 10. This Lions team, they are without, I think, head coach, coordinators. This is a very undermanned coaching staff. And then, they lost Jeff Okudah. The secondary already wasn't that good. I think Tom Brady's going to have a really big day. I think, all the receivers are going to eat, Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronk. There's no Ronald Jones in this game, so I think Tom Brady's going to be throwing it a lot out there, and I think the matchups are going to be favorable. I could definitely see them dropping a lot of at least 30 points in this game. And, the Lions offense just, no Kenny Galladay, and, Matt Stafford is he's doing all he can, but, he needs some more help. So I just don't see them being able to, compete in this one.
Yeah, I definitely have the Bucs winning as well. And like the Saints too, I think this is a kind of a get-right matchup for this defense, because even without Galladay, there's still some talent there, especially with Matt Stafford at quarterback. So this Bucs defense does need to pick it up a little bit as they make a playoff push. And then going out west, I believe this game is only available on Amazon Prime, which is a weird decision by the NFL. But we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. San Fran's been playing a couple of games in Arizona because of some COVID protocols in their own county. So this is kind of a home game for both teams in the last couple of weeks. But the Cardinals are a 5-point favorite Over under is set at 48.5. And when these two teams played in week 1, the 49ers were full strength. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals came in and defeated the 49ers for a little bit of a shock. And, now 49ers have got a little bit of momentum, but they're still very banged up. And Kyler Murray, on the other hand, like they gotta keep winning for the playoffs. And I didn't see a lot from this Cardinals team when they played the Eagles. I mean, obviously Jalen Hurts had a great game and they still put up 33 points, but they probably should have beaten the Eagles by a little bit more. But I'm going with the Cardinals to win this game. It's going to be close. Normally, interdivision games are pretty close, especially against these two teams. So I might like the 49ers +5, but I think the Cardinals are going to win. Joe, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, watching the game last week, the Cardinals were moving the ball up and down the field pretty much at will. There were just a couple big plays, where, I know there was a couple forced fumbles and interception. 2 of those were in the red zone. So, this Cardinals team could have very easily put up some more points. And I think against this, bang defense, they're still going to be able to find success. I could definitely see Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins having another really big game. Hopkins was coming out, I think, a little aggressive at the media about, not practicing all that much when, he's coming out in games and doing this. So I think I could see another kind of statement game from D-Hop like that. And I mean, this is Nick Mullins, it's Nick Mullins, no Debo, no Raheem Mostert, no George Kittle. I mean, there's no way they're going to be able to score points and keep up with the 49ers. I think the Niners are going to be able to win this pretty easily. Or I'm sorry, the Cardinals.
Okay. Oh, that was okay. Well, okay. Now, so we all got the Cardinals. We're all picking the same, and maybe we're picking different in this game. A huge game for the AFC wild card. The Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders aren't eliminated yet, so they really need to win this game. I think if they lose, they are officially eliminated. Dolphins are a 3-point road favorite. The over-under is set at 47.5. Joey D, how do you see this Dolphins-Raiders matchup going?
Well, it looks like Mariota is in line to play again this week. I'm not sure if I think Derek Carr is questionable still. But right now, it kind of seems like it's going to be Mariota. And I mean, even if it is Derek Carr, I trust this Miami defense at this point, which is so wild to say.
Yeah.
I mean, this Miami defense, like just against Patrick Mahomes, forcing a bunch of turnovers, like week in and week out, they're making incredible plays and, just changing the game for, their team and, shifting the momentum their way. So I really don't see that stopping for Miami against, a little bit of an undermanned Raiders team. I know the defense still has a couple guys out, and I can definitely see Miami winning this game and winning it pretty easily as well.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, Joe, because I was texting you yesterday. I mean, Ravens Braid and me would love to see the Raiders win this game because we do need the Dolphins, Colts, or Browns to just lose one game in the final 6 that they all have. So I really want the Raiders to win, but football me is thinking that the Dolphins will win, and you said it best. I mean, I could easily see both ways. I can see the Dolphins winning big. I can see the Dolphins winning close, but I also can see Mariota putting together a good game because they were moving the ball, last week against the Chargers, and right. Especially when your quarterback goes out, you're thinking, all right, we're done. But Mariota did a pretty good job, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. And you said it too. The defense on Miami's side is just too better than the Raiders right now, and Tua is just going to do just enough to move on. So we're all on board for the Friday and Saturday games, Joe, and now it's time for Sunday. First game we're going to talk about, throwaway game, except the Bears are still in the playoff hunt. They are on the road to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The over-under is 47. The Bears are a 7.5-point road favorite. I'm going with the Bears because, once again, the Jaguars only have 1 win, and I predicted them to go 1-15. So I'm going with the Bears. I legally have to. Joe, can the Jaguars have a little Christmas miracle of themselves this week and pull off an upset?
I really want to pick the Jaguars in this one. I really could see Mitch Trubisky having a really bad game, after putting together some really, really good games that nobody was expecting. And now that, a little bit more eyes are on him, just dropping a stinker in Jacksonville and they find a way to win. The fact that James Robinson is not playing, well,
Mhm.
it's huge for so many fantasy owners. I think that that's really the biggest key in this game. I mean, is Raquel Armstead or someone still their backup running back? Like, I don't even know. So
Sure.
I don't see them. I don't see them having any success on the ground against the Bears. And then when you're one dimensional and your quarterback is Gardner Minshew, it's not going to be pretty. So I don't think it's going to be a very good game. I think it'll be low scoring, ugly, but the Bears will win.
Yeah, and I think the key is David Montgomery, and I've been saying the last couple of weeks, he's been running the ball really well. They got that run game going in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and just based on what the Ravens did last week, I mean, we had one of our offensive linemen run for 23 yards last week for a first down, and so I think that the Bears running game is going to get going a little bit, and they're going to win this game. So we're still riding the Bears, and the next game again is kind of a throwaway game. We got the Cincinnati Bengals coming off their biggest upset of the year, going on the road to the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. Texans are a 7.5-point favorite. The over-under is at 46. Joe, got to ask you, can the Bengals, kind of do it again with the backup quarterback in Ryan Finley? Can they pull off the upset and beat Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans? Or I think the Texans are going to roll over the Bengals in this game, and Deshaun Watson's going to have himself a nice game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's how it's going to go. I definitely think that the Bengals, based on what they did last week, proved that they're definitely capable of hanging with a team like the Texans and potentially getting that win. So I don't think that the Texans are going to roll. I think it's actually going to be a close game.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, if that front seven can do what they did to Deshaun Watson, like they did against Pittsburgh last week, then they're going to be able to be in this game. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm still shocked that, they just got after Roethlisberger so much that game and were just so disruptive. And I mean, that's a team with a lot of, I guess, talent at the receiver position between, a couple of different guys that, have had spurts of greatness, while the Texans don't really have as much there. So I just don't really see, I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see this being a close game, but I think that Deshaun Watson will ultimately figure out a way to win.
Yeah, and on the Bengals side, when we're talking about teams like the Jaguars and the Jets being like, oh no, we just lost out on Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson or one of these quarterbacks, the Bengals have their quarterback. So if they keep winning, it's more of like, oh no, we might miss out on that number one offensive tackle, which I would assume that's where they're going with Percy Sewell or Penny Sewell, from the guy from Oregon. So the more they keep winning, it's not like, oh, we're missing out on Trevor Lawrence. It's like, dude, we might miss out on this awesome offensive tackle. I'm sure there's somebody else in the draft, but I'm going with the Texans as well. And Joe, probably another game. This is our last, game in the 1:00 slate on Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons are making their way to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This could be a bad one. Chiefs are a 10.5-point favorite. The over-under is at 54. Joe, we've been picking the same teams this entire time. Are you picking the Falcons? Because I'm picking the Chiefs.
Unfortunately not, Tim. The Chiefs are definitely going to roll in this one. I mean, this is a great matchup for the Chiefs to have to kind of close out the year. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a huge day. He's going to spread the love to everyone. Le'Veon Bell is going to get a lot of work, these last two games while they rest Elaire. And I really think they're going to have a very interesting role for Edwards Elaire in the postseason. Probably because, I mean, they haven't needed to really rely on it as much, but now it's, we're in December, about to get into January and playoff football. I think that they're going to figure out a way to get him even more involved and take a little bit more pressure off of Mahomes so he can, continue to be great. So it starts right now. Win these games that you should. Win them big. Keep that momentum going. And, the Chiefs are going to be really hard to stop.
Yeah, and since the Steelers lost on Monday night, that was their third loss. The Bills have 3 losses. Chiefs are 13-1. All they need to do is win this game, and they get the home field advantage. So when you have teams like the Chiefs that are this good, or even like a team like the Ravens that we saw last year, winning these games that you're supposed to win, they're going to put the Falcons away pretty easily, secure that number 1 seed and the only bye in the AFC. So I think the Chiefs will roll, and I think the Falcons will put up some points too. I mean, don't forget, it's still Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, so they have some offensive weapons. So I think that they'll put up some points too. Kansas City's defense isn't as strong, but I do think the Chiefs will pull away, kind of like last week's Lions-Titans game, it's going to be like a 45-20 type of game, 45-24, and you're just going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like Falcons put up some points, but the Chiefs roll away. And now it's time for some actual games that matter when it comes to the playoffs on Sunday afternoon. The first one probably doesn't have that big of a factor, but we have the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. And Joe, I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked with the Cincinnati Bengals. Can the Jets do it again and beat the Cleveland Browns at home? Browns are a 10-point favorite. Over under is 47.5.
I don't think so, no. I mean, it's still the Jets. It's still Adam Gase. They still don't have any talent really across that team. And, Quinnen Williams, who has probably been their best player this year, I don't think he's going to play this game. I'm pretty sure he's been ruled out with like a neck injury or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, Cleveland's going to roll. They're going to run the ball all day. It's not going to be close, and it's not going to be a tough matchup at all for Cleveland.
Yeah, and the Jets have been playing some good football recently. I mean, they should have beaten the Raiders. They beat the Rams last week. I think in between they were pretty close to winning as well. So they're playing some decent football as of late. And about a month ago, the Browns went into Jacksonville, another team with the 0 wins, 1 wins. And, kind of came down to the wire. I believe the Jaguars at least had an opportunity for an onside kick. So just being a typical Cleveland Browns, I wouldn't be surprised if this game is close for like that first half or maybe the first 3 quarters or so. But I do think the Browns will pull away for a victory. And I think they're going to solidify a playoff spot and potentially even a AFC North division championship next Sunday as they take on the Steelers. So I'm going with the Browns as well. And another New York team versus an AFC North team. We got the New York Giants coming here to Baltimore against the Ravens. We are a 10-point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. Joe, I would like to hear your thoughts on this game first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be close. The Ravens have been, on a very good hot streak of late, just blowing out the Jags, while the Giants have yet to score 20 points in their last 4 games, I think it is. I mean, they who'd they just lose to? They just lost to shoot, I'm forgetting it. Yeah, they just lost to the Browns. They beat Seattle the week before, like 17-12. But I mean, they're not putting up points at all in their last couple games. I just don't see them being able to keep pace with the Ravens offense. And then, on their offensive side, it's either going to be a hobbled Daniel Jones or Colt McCoy. So I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think it's going to be close. Unfortunately, I think this is going to set up pretty nicely for next week's showdown, as we'll continue to get to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be kind of like last week's game against the Jaguars. And Joe, I don't know if you know this, but back in 2012, the Ravens were 9-5. Week 16, the New York Giants are coming to town. We need to win to make the playoffs. We won that game. That actually clinched us the AFC North. But 2012 was the year that the Ravens won the Super Bowl. So once again, this year, 8 years later, the Ravens are 9-5, playing the Giants at home in Week 16, where a win, I don't want to say basically puts us in the playoffs, because 8 years ago we clinched the division, but this puts us in a very good spot to make the playoffs. So I think it's going to be hopefully the same outcome with the Super Bowl victory for the Ravens. But I think we really have that momentum now. And I know we're playing, the Browns and the Jags and the Giants and the Bengals, but we're still looking good. We're looking like we did last year. So hopefully that continues. I'm going with the Ravens. And now game of probably game of the 1 o'clock. We'll say game of the AFC. We have the Indianapolis Colts at the Pittsburgh Steelers. As of right now, the Colts are a 1.5-point road favorite in Pittsburgh. The over-under is at 44.5. Joe, I got to hear your thoughts on this game. Who's winning between Colts and Steelers?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts in this game. I know you don't want to hear it, Tim.
And I don't.
But, I mean, the way that I know, but that Bengals defense is not good. And the way that they got after Pittsburgh this week, now you got the Colts coming, who are a top 10 defense in the NFL. I think they're going to give Roethlisberger and that offense fits. I mean, they're going to be able to run the ball on them. And, they're going to be dimensional passing. But, DeForest Buckner is playing and healthy and having a great season. Darius Leonard is, flying a little bit under the radar this year, but still making plays, still a very steady presence in the middle of that defense. And, their secondary is having a good year too, with the rookie Julian Blackmon and Xavier Rhodes having a little bit of a resurgence in Indianapolis. So I think that's really the key matchup. I trust the Colts defense more than the Steelers offense right now. And then on the flip side, the Steelers defense is banged up. I mean, there's a lot of players not going in the secondary. I think Ty is going to be able to find some room. He's just really been on a hot streak with Phillip Rivers the last few weeks. So I think that they're going to be able to connect on some deep shots, and Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to run the ball well as well, and kind of take a little bit of pressure off of Phillip Rivers in that regard. So I think the Colts are going to win. I think it'll be a tough game. But I think that they'll win that.
Yeah, if this was like a month ago or had the Steelers won on Monday Night Football, I'm probably with you in picking the Colts, because one of our first guests, Josh, he's a Steelers fan. When he came on, he said he thinks that Phillip Rivers is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. And I would have picked the Colts just because of that, because I think it would have been funny if the Colts came in with Phillip Rivers to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But now I need the Steelers to win. So I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this game. Finally, Joe, we picked somebody else. And once they lost to the football team, and we were talking about this going in their game against the Bills, I was like, this is a Mike Tomlin team. He's going to get his team right. And they were kind of in it with the Bills. I mean, they only lost by 8, but they were kind of in it at the end. They were still kind of moving the ball. And, so after losing this game to the Bengals, I don't see this happening again where they lose the following game. A Mike Tomlin disciplined team. Juju has finally stopped dancing, which that's a whole nother topic we can get into. But Juju's going to stop dancing. Hopefully he can actually put up some numbers, because his numbers aren't that fantastic this year. So I'm going with the Steelers. I hope they win because, the Ravens need to go in the playoffs. But then again, the Steelers might be playing chess and saying, well, hey, like if we lose, the Ravens don't make the playoffs. So, but I don't see that happen. Nobody really intentionally loses. So I'm going with the Steelers in this game, Joe. Hopefully one of these teams, the Colts, Dolphins, or Browns, can lose. That way the Ravens fans and the Ravens go into week 17 just being like, hey, winning in, baby, winning in, and not, all right, winning, we need help. So we're going to that one. And
Exactly.
now for the 4:00 games, this first one is kind of a throwaway game. Honestly, I'm hoping that this is like the shootout, like the 45-40, because this has no playoff implications. We have the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. The over-under is at 49. And like I just said, I really hope this is a nice, fun shootout that we keep seeing on Red Zone and for fantasy purposes, just Drew Lock and Justin Herbert going at it with some of these young receivers and some of these young weapons. In terms of winning the game, I don't know if I want to pick a winner because this game doesn't mean anything, but let me be a little bit different. I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think Vic Fangio and that defense will come up. So I'm going to go with the Broncos. Joe, how about yourself? I mean, I really hope this is not like some 13-9 struggle fest. Like, let's see some points. Let's see these young guys go out. I'm going with the Broncos. How about yourself?
Yeah, I was thinking about going with the Broncos as well. I mean, it's a Vic Fangio defense against a rookie quarterback. So I could definitely see Justin Herbert struggling this Sunday. But, for variety's sake, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think that Justin Herbert, has been playing some really football since he's been a starter this year. I'm not sure if Keenan Allen is going to be a go this week, but we weren't sure last week either. And at the last second he played. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they just got a little bit more firepower, the ability to score, to, kind of do that, win that kind of shootout. I think that, they're more well equipped to win that game. But if it ends up being a low scoring game and an ugly game, then I think that's a game that the Broncos end up pulling out. So, but I'll pick the Chargers, like I said, for variety's sakes.
All right. Well, let's see. Hopefully, one of us, that's the deciding factor. I mean, we've only been opposite for these last two games. And now maybe we're opposite on this one. A huge game in the NFC East. The Carolina Panthers are heading up to the Washington football team, the Ron Rivera revenge game. Right now, the football team is a 1-point favorite. The over-under is set at 42.5. If the football team win, all they need to do is win one game, one of their final two games, and they clinch the NFC East and make the playoffs. Joe, does Ron Rivera, does Riverboat Ron do it against his former team? I think so, but I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Unfortunately, I don't. I think the Panthers are going to win this game. which is really annoying. So I think that, all of the distractions this week with Dwayne Haskins, this guy going to a strip club, right after the game. And, now they're, he lost his captainship. He's been fined a bunch. But, somehow he's still going to most likely play and be the starter. I just think it's hard to rally around a guy like that. I don't think Alex Smith is going to be able to play. And I mean, if he does play, then I'll feel like they kind of rushed him back. It may not be 100%. So I think this is a game where the Panthers are able to, kind of get something going in terms of, that defense. Both these defenses are kind of what I think is going to be the key matchup in this game. Who can force the most turnovers? Who can, flip the field position, maybe score some points off turnovers? I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. And while that front seven for Washington is definitely going to give Teddy Bridgewater and, Christian McCaffrey less offense, some fits, I really think that, Jeremy Chin, I'm not sure if Brian Burns is going to play in this game or not. But, still the rest of that defense is young and, they're scrappy, and I think they're going to make Dwayne Haskins pay for some turnovers. So I think in classic Washington fashion, we're going to see an implosion this week. They're going to lose, and Panthers are going to have a real nice moral victory. And we'll get to the next NFC East game and, continue the prediction from there.
Yeah, and you said it with Dwayne Haskins too, with just this distraction. And the thing is, Dwayne Haskins isn't like a James Harden or Dennis Rodman. I believe a Rockets coach was like, we let James Harden do whatever he wants, go to strip clubs and party, because we know the next night he's going to have a triple-double and we're probably going to win the game. And like Dennis Rodman, when we all were watching The Last Dance, both him, Phil Jackson and Jordan were like, we'll give him his off days because we know he's going to come back and have like 25 rebounds in this huge playoff game. But Dwayne Haskins isn't that. If he was like an MVP quarterback and, this has been done before, and then the next day he comes out and throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, sure. But he isn't. It's Dwayne Haskins. He got benched, third string, demoted. So, but Joe, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to go with the football team to win this game and clinch the division. That way the Eagles can kind of breathe and relax, maybe lose a couple of games to get a better draft pick. So I'm going with the football team. I think defensively, we saw it 2 weeks ago, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. They still won a game. So I think that could happen again. It's going to be an ugly football game, very, very ugly, very defensive football game, but I think the football team is going to do just enough. I believe Antonio Gibson is questionable. If he's in, that's a huge factor for that offense, no matter who the quarterback is. So I'm going to go with the football team. And Joe, you said the next game we're talking about is your Philadelphia Eagles, buddy, at the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles are a 2.5-point road favorite right now, and the over-under is at 49.5. Joe, this is your team. We'll let you have the floor. Eagles, Cowboys, what do you think? And I hope you're picking the Eagles.
Yeah, it's Dallas week, so it's kind of it's a tough conflict of interest. I don't think this team deserves to be in contention for a playoff spot, or will do anything if they do somehow sneak into the playoffs. So the rational part of me says we need to lose this game and get the better draft pick. But then, the Eagles part of me is like, it's the Cowboys. We got to blow them out. And unfortunately, I think that we're going to win this game. I think it's going to be a fun game, another exciting game. I think it's going to go back and forth. And, I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles to win because it's the Cowboys. And, there is still a sliver of hope. We've seen what Doug Peterson can do with backup quarterbacks in December and in the playoffs. The way that this team has been able to kind of overcome a lot of adversity this year and have a huge win against New Orleans 2 weeks ago, be right there with the Cardinals this past week and come back from a 16-0 hole. I think this offense is going to score over 30 points for the first time all season. I think the Cowboys are, going to be right there. I think this game is going to go to overtime again in classic Philadelphia and Dallas fashion. Jalen Hurts scores the game-winning touchdown, and the Eagles move on to next week to face the Washington football team in Philadelphia for the division title. So it's crazy how this season has gone, where we are. I don't know what I want. I don't know what's going to be best, but I know it always feels great to beat Dallas, and Jalen Hurts is, right now he looks like our best bet for at least the next season. I want to see him continue to grow and kind of make some throws over the middle of the field, work through his reads a little bit quicker. It's going to be just very important to evaluate Jalen Hurts over these next 2 games, and I think that's got to be the priority. So if we're winning and he's playing well, then that's what's the best possible scenario for the Eagles moving forward into next season. So go Birds, baby, let's get it.
Yeah, Joe, much like the Ravens and Steelers, you can't pick the other team in this rivalry. I'm going with the Eagles as well. And Joe, I know you have a direct line to Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. So when we're done here, give them a phone call and say, run the ball. With Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, I don't care who's running the ball. The Cowboys have the worst run defense in the NFL. The Browns ran for over 300 yards. The Ravens ran for like 295, 300, right around there. You guys got to run the ball. You have some great talent there in the backfield. So get creative with some options. Get creative. Do short passes. Open up the play action in the second half. I think the Eagles are going to win. And hopefully this is a fun game to watch. And hopefully scoreboard watching, I mean, hopefully the football team does pull it out that way. Like I said, you can kind of take a breath and say, all right, now let's just kick the Cowboys' ass. All right. So hopefully that happens. And now game of the day in the NFC, Joe, the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks, basically the NFC West Division Championship. The Seahawks are a 1-point home favorite right now. Over under is at 47.5. Joe, I don't know if I can pick the Rams in this one. After losing to the Jets last week, I just can't do it. I'm going with the Seahawks. Although there are no fans, it's still a little bit of a home field advantage. And I think Russ is going to cook. I think they're going to make the necessary adjustments that they didn't make a couple of weeks ago when they lost to the Rams. And I think they're going to contain Aaron Donald. Russell Wilson is going to show why he's not going to win MVP this year, obviously, but why he can be an MVP, solidify a home playoff game. And if the ball goes a couple of different ways, the Seahawks can still end up somehow with that number 1 seed. They obviously need Green Bay to lose out, and I think New Orleans to lose out as well, but there is still a possibility. So I'm going with the Seahawks. Like I said, you can't pick the Rams after losing to the Jets at home last week. Joe, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, this is the kind of game that Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, they don't lose. This is the game that all comes down to this. I mean, last year against the 49ers, that was like the first time in a while that, they had lost that game. And even that came down to inches, the very last play. So this is not as good a Rams team as we thought. They're so inconsistent. They might be able to get something going on offense, but I just feel like, as this game goes on, Russell Wilson he's not going to let his offense be the reason that they lose this game. If the Rams are scoring every drive, Russ is going to score every drive. And eventually, I trust that Jared Goff is going to make a mistake that's going to be a lot more devastating than Russell Wilson's mistake. So I think the Seahawks are going to find a way to win this game, secure their division, and keep going into the playoffs. And this is when they get hot and get dangerous. So we'll see what happens. It could be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a fun one to watch, and hopefully the Seahawks can pull it out. And Sunday Night Football, this was a game that was not flexed. This was originally scheduled all the way to Week 16, and this is a great football game. The Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are a 3-point favorite, and the over is 55.5. And this is going to be a fun one because the Packers' run defense is not good. And there's this guy on the Tennessee Titans. His name is Derrick Henry, Joe. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But so I think he's going to run all over. The over is 55.5. Probably going to bet that over. So this is a tough game. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. The Ravens fan of me probably wants Tennessee because we don't have the tiebreaker over them. So if they do lose and the Colts win and now Titans are in the wild card, that doesn't help the Ravens at all. But I think the Packers are going to solidify that number 1 seed and say hey, we are the number 1 team in the NFC. I know we haven't looked like it for a couple of weeks. I know we had a close one with Jacksonville. We've lost a couple of games, but I think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are going to bounce back after a tough week last week against the Panthers. I think they're going to bounce back. But again, Derrick Henry's going to run all over this run defense. And it might come down to kickers. And right now, I think Mason Crosby's a little bit better than Steven Gostkowski, especially this year. So I'm going to go with the Packers. Joe, who's your pick for Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, I'm gonna go opposite of you. I'm taking the Titans
Ooh.
here all the way. The matchup with Derrick Henry versus this run defense, I think, is the difference in this game. I don't think the Packers are going to be able to stop him from, the first snap of the game. And Ryan Tannehill is going to be able to feast off the play action, just spread the ball around to his playmakers. And he's not going to be asked to do a lot because Derrick Henry is going to be making life easy on him. I think that they're going to be able to work a lot of clock and keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands the majority of this game. And that's how you beat a team like Green Bay. And I think this is this Achilles heel of Green Bay that we've kind of talked about this season is going to get exposed in this game and just kind of brought back up, and that's going to be the storyline going into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough for the Titans because their defense is definitely not what we thought it would be. If Aaron Rodgers has all day to throw back there, he's going to find Devontae Adams or some of those other targets to make some plays and, have some big splash plays, which is going to be the key on their side. I mean, like I said, I think one way or the other, Titans are going to control the clock in this game. But if Rodgers is able to make a bunch of big plays and keep them in it, that could be the deciding factor. But I think the Titans got this. The matchups favor them incredibly well. And Ryan Tannehill is playing some of the best football of his career right now. So I'm taking the Titans. I think it's going to be a really fun game and definitely hammer that over.
It's going to be a fun game for sure. Don't forget, this is a Matt LaFleur kind of revenge game as well, because he did come from that Tennessee coaching staff to become head coach of the Packers. So it definitely could be whoever gets the ball last wins, because, Aaron Rodgers is very much like Patrick Mahomes. If you leave him 45 seconds, he'll march down the field to get into field goal range or at least a spot for a Hail Mary. So it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch. And then for Monday night, maybe not the best game to watch. It's not going to be like Sunday Night Football, but we got the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. The AFC East champion Buffalo Bills on the road to the New England Patriots. Bills are a 7-point road favorite. The over-under is at 46. The Bills control their own destiny for the number 2 seed. If the Chiefs were to lose to the Falcons, then whoever they play next week, I think either the Broncos or Chargers, then the Bills could still end up with number 1. But looks like the number 2 seed for the Bills. I really wish this game was in Buffalo, because I guarantee you they would have had a banner already to raise right in front of Bill Belichick's face. But this is in New England. I like the Bills in this one. It's going to be a close one. I don't like a 7-point favorite. It could be a close one, but then again, maybe the Patriots are giving up now because they're eliminated for the playoffs. So there's a lot of factors going in. I think the Bills are going to win. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are hot right now, and they need to be hot going into the playoffs. So I'm going with the Bills for Monday Night Football. Joe, how about yourself, buddy?
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills as well. I think that match, that duo with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they're not going to be slowed down at all this week. Stephon Gilmore is out for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. So nobody's going to be able to stop that duo. I mean, you would put Stephon Gilmore on Stephon Diggs and, hope that Josh Allen is forced to, kind of go elsewhere to win, but they don't have that. So Josh Allen is going to have a field day this week. This Bills defense is also starting to round into form as well. So I think they're going to make life miserable on Cam and the rest of that New England offense. I think that they're going to be able to cover that spread, and I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. I think they could win by at least 10 points in this one.
Yeah, and I really hope they do too, because Bills are kind of cool team to kind of root for. So we all got the Bills. There's only a handful of games, Joe, that we're picking opposites on, and I said one of us is going 16-0 this week. So we'll see who it is. I mean, there's it's a pretty straightforward week in terms of winners, and we did go opposite on a handful of them. It might come down to the Broncos and Chargers. But that'll do it for this week's Week 16 picks. Big week in the NFL as well as fantasy as well. Most weeks, Week 16 is the fantasy championships. I'm actually in one of them. I played Eric Ebron Monday night. I actually won by like 5 or 6 points. So made it. Hopefully I can do a repeat I won last year. Joe, hopefully you have all the best of luck in fantasy football. Any final words on Week 16, Christmas, the holiday season, anything like that?
I'm right there with you. I'm in championship in one league, so you just got to close it out. I think we're going to stick with Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts this week. Mm-hmm. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do otherwise. But that's who I've been riding all year. Him and Derrick Henry. And Nick Chubb. I'm excited. This is this is the kind of team that I drafted, just that December run the ball team. I got Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Mike Davis, Darren Waller. I even got I just picked up Ahmed from the Dolphins. So if Myles Gaskin is still out, that's another key play. So, we're looking good for December. This is what you love to see. It's the holidays. I just hope everyone stays safe with the traveling and enjoys time with friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we all win our fantasy championships, or, if you lost your semifinals, hopefully you do win third place. I know in a couple leagues that I'm in third place, at least get your money back. So definitely worth participating and winning this game. And that's going to do it for this week. Everybody, have a Merry Christmas if you do celebrate, or I hope you had a Merry Christmas. This video is going to come out on Saturday, more than likely, but just stay tuned. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified when this does come out or when future videos come out, because you're watching this now. Comment below your pick of the week and if Joe should start Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray in fantasy. He really needs some help because he needs, some fantasy advice. So comment that below. Everybody, have a great day. And we'll see you soon for our recap in a couple of days. Peace.